SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
What's up, everybody? Welcome in on the eve of Snowmageddon or Ice-mageddon 2026. In all seriousness, I hope you guys are prepared and safe. I know that there's a lot of jokes to be made about people over-preparing. Like we started the radio show today, for example, with I was sent pictures of the Oxford Walmart last night, and I said, now, all of you are lying to yourselves. There is absolutely no way any of you, none of you eat that much produce. So come on now. Can you stop pretending like you eat that much produce? Go to the snack aisle like me and everybody else did. That's where you are. Anyway, but in all seriousness, be prepared. Also, if you have outside pets, bring them inside. This is not something to mess with. I know that we got some winter weather coming down and hope all of you are safe this weekend. Welcome to the Rebel Report podcast. My name is Michael Borky. Short topic tonight, but Ole Miss still on Trinidad watch, and he is the biggest acquisition of Ole Miss's offseason. We'll talk about that, read some of your comments on this edition of the podcast. I do want to first, again, invite you to subscribe to the podcast feed, wherever you get your podcast. That's where I want you, is to subscribe to the podcast feed. I appreciate you listening, watching here on YouTube, but wherever you get your podcast, just search Rebel Report. And if you like what you hear, subscribe. And even if you feel like it, leave a rating and a review. Also, right here on YouTube, though, as well, leave a comment, like all that good stuff. I would appreciate you everywhere. But don't forget to subscribe to the podcast feed. That is what helps me the most, is you subscribing on there. This edition of the show is presented by Logan Smith Shelter Insurance. If you're in the need of auto insurance, home insurance, life insurance, or for your business, home, auto, life, business, Logan Smith Shelter Insurance, anywhere in Mississippi. 601-823-3500. It's a risk-free call. If you already have auto insurance, if you already have home insurance, it's worth the phone call. See if Logan Smith can get you a better rate and better coverage. It's worth the call. He's got award-winning services for a reason. Check him out. Again, Logan Smith, Shelter Insurance, 601-823-3500 for auto, home, life, and business insurance. He will give you a personalized plan. Give him a call. It is absolutely worth your time. So obviously the portal is kind of winding down a little bit. Portal news is becoming less and less frequent, although there is a very interesting press conference apparently that is supposed to happen tomorrow. I saw it on Twitter. Maybe it's not happening. Maybe I just totally buy and believe something on Twitter. But apparently right before the radio show starts tomorrow, Dabo Swinney is set to meet with the media as well as his athletic director. I don't know if that's actually going to happen. Again, I just saw it on Twitter. I'm sure if it is actually real, Dabo's going to have some quotes about Ole Miss in particular, because as you guys know, Luke Farrelly, a guy that has been rumored to be going to Ole Miss for a little while now, was at Clemson, re-entered the transfer portal, is off to Ole Miss, and tampering accusations abound. That is why we didn't talk about tampering on this show, why we didn't complain about it, because everybody tampers. That is, if it's happening to you, you're doing it as well. But we did talk heavily about contracts and buyouts and how important they are and stuff like that, because even though Ole Miss obviously lost Prince Will Uman-Mielen, he was obviously tampered with in many different ways. Ole Miss had a revenue-sharing contract with him, so at least Ole Miss got something in return, and almost $600,000 is not nothing. That is a real number. That is real money that you can really use. That is a good thing. Reportedly, Clemson did not have that kind of protection. So if that is the case, they kind of got caught with their pants down. The structure of college football sucks. Tampering is basically unenforceable. If Clemson does, in fact, have a press conference, they can talk about it, and that's great. But there's really not a whole lot that can be done about it. So there's that. He's a quality linebacker, really good player, ACC Defensive Rookie of the Year, multiple years of eligibility. There's just a lot to like about what they did at the linebacker position at Ole Miss going into this season. That looks good. We've talked about all the other portal acquisitions. I really like the defensive secondary in particular. They returned a bunch on the defensive line, added some guys that you can see a path to them being very good up front on defense. We've talked about running back, obviously returning Kewan Lacey. That's a huge, massive freaking deal, and they've padded that room nicely. The tight end room looks good. The receiver room took some losses to the NFL, and with Caden Lee leaving, but they've added some nice pieces there. Deuce Alexander returning. There's a lot to like there. So this roster, both with player retention and the number 2 transfer portal class as of earlier today anyway. I don't know if that's changed or not. A lot of it looks really good. It's a team, a roster that is set up to win going into next season. They need an offensive tackle. Reportedly, they are working on getting a visit from a Miami offensive tackle that's in the portal. I don't know if weather's going to impact that. He's been at Auburn. Maybe they're able to get him in tomorrow and get him out. So I don't know. The weather's going to impact things there, possibly anyway, if he was supposed to visit this weekend. They still need an offensive tackle. That is a position of need for sure. But most importantly, the biggest acquisition this offseason is quarterback, specifically the quarterback's extra year of eligibility, should they be able to secure it. Now, it's still wait and see mode. Everybody's on Trinidad watch. We'll get to the details of that, or lack thereof, here in just a second. But the obvious thing in the game of football, right, at all levels, is if you don't have quality quarterback play, you don't have a quality football team. And especially now, you're seeing in college football how important experienced veteran quarterbacks are just in general, and how important that position is. That's the most obvious thing. Trinidad Chambliss is obviously a high-level quarterback as well. You watched it. He was exceptional in the playoffs, especially considering that this was his first year at this level. All the stuff that you already know about him. High-level quarterback. But it's not just that you are attempting to and will secure, I think, another year of eligibility for your quarterback. It's not just that he's good. It's the kind of good that he is, right? There's talented quarterbacks, there's good quarterbacks, and then there's guys like Trinidad Chambliss who protect the football, do a very good job. Probably should have had a couple of interceptions in the Fiesta Bowl, but generally speaking, he is exceptional at protecting the football. He is very good at spreading the ball around. As the season went on, his big-time throws, vertical down the field, tight windows, things like that, got better. He is elusive in the pocket, clearly a very smart player. And if you believe what is being talked about with him right now in this football team, how engaged and involved he is from the leadership perspective of the position, right? Taking ownership of the program, helping recruit portal players, that kind of stuff. So not only is he talented in the offense, even though it's John David Baker instead of Charlie Weiss Jr., it's the same offense. It fits him very, very well. But the type of player he is, clearly not rattled by environment or moment. Fourth quarter in Athens was a disaster, and then took that and learned from it and became clutch the next week and was clutch in the playoffs, especially as the game went on, and especially in the second halves and fourth quarter of the two big playoff games, with all due respect to Tulane. So smart with the football, elevated his play when it mattered most. The veteran poise, the leadership that comes with that. You saw it with Fernando Mendoza, right? And I think that's the biggest strength and the most under-discussed quality, even at the quarterback position, is what do you do for the guys around you beyond just throwing the football to them? That was Tom Brady's biggest strength. It was mental, and it was leadership and process and things like that. That was Drew Brees' biggest strength, is that right there, the process, mentals, leadership, structure, the ability to elevate guys around you. You saw it with Mendoza. Mendoza's not like a super athletic guy. And I know he's a little bit cheesy, but listen to Fernando Mendoza's teammates talk about him. And in the way that he's got the infectious, the buy-in, the pull, the gravity. Trinidad Shambles has that. So still in wait and see mode. They obviously appealed to the NCAA. They're getting the court case ready. I was told, okay. I was told by a couple of people that not only did they have optimism going into the meeting, and couch this as rumor, by the way, this is strictly rumor. By the time you're listening to this, it's probably wrong, and the NCAA's denied it, and they're going to have to go to court. Okay. But I was asked a bunch about, Chase Parham on his podcast talking about, hey, there's increased optimism that Ole Miss is going to get the appeal through the NCAA done. The rumor that I heard was even stronger than that it was kind of communicated that they're going to win this. I don't know if that's true or not. Again, now that I've said that, he's going to get denied. But that was something that was communicated to me. It was twice, actually, in two different avenues. Same thing was like, hey, actually, Ole Miss kind of knows what the outcome is going to be. I have no idea if that's true or not. But I do know, and I believe Chase, if you don't want to believe me, I believe Chase, that there's a lot of optimism that he's going to get that waiver. What are they waiting on? Or that appeal? What are they waiting on? Maybe a Friday news dump to lessen the impact of overturning their own denial. Maybe that's part of it. The NCAA operates in mysterious ways, in slow and painful ways. If they don't get it through appeal, I am very confident, as is literally everybody else, that they would get it via the court anyway. And that is the biggest acquisition for Ole Miss this offseason, is Trinidad Chambliss' extra year of eligibility. Because, as you guys know, and as we've kind of laid out here, it's the obvious thing, but still, you're seeing, especially in the portal era where there's so much movement, continuity and veteran quarterbacks that are still with their team, although Mendoza wasn't, but veteran quarterbacks and continuity at that position elevates teams more so than anything else can. And so when that becomes official, you're seeing a lot of, these preseason top 25s and stuff like that. Where Ole Miss is in the teens. I saw one where they were in the 20s. I think a lot of that is a result of the uncertainty around Trinidad and whether or not he will actually be available. Because if he gets this appeal, or if he gets his injunction, Ole Miss is a preseason top 5 team with, everything that they have done both in retention and in the transfer portal. So that is that will be massive news. So the podcast is brought to you. Obvious, right? There's your take of the day right there. Forgive my language, everybody. Earmuffs. No shit, Michael. Quarterback's important. Getting him back is good. Yes, but still waiting on Trinidad watch, and I think what you saw in the playoffs is proof positive that he is even more important than you could have thought otherwise. So, podcast is brought to you in part by Priority One Bank. They make you their priority every single day with their online banking platform. It's a one-stop shop. All you need is an internet connection. You can do whatever it is that you need to do with your money. They also have local loan servicing and decision-making because they make you their priority. You don't have to get on Zoom, talk to somebody out of state. It is a place that will get to know you because that is what they do. at Priority One Bank. They make you their priority. All right. Icepocalypse 2026. Aldi was ridiculous. I am going to try to brave Costco tomorrow. I'm going to try to brave Costco tomorrow. SEC basketball travel is going to be a problem. I am shocked that Ole Miss in Kentucky are only moving up an hour. Let me see Lexington weather. Lexington, Kentucky weather. Maybe they'll be able to get out of there. Saturday. Let's see. Come on. Sorry, this is going to take me a second. I probably should have had this pulled up, but they're obviously under a winter storm warning. Saturday's high in Lexington, Kentucky is 14 degrees. Cloudy with periods of snow during the afternoon, high of 14 degrees. Wind northeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Chance of snow, 80%. That is on Saturday. Now, I mean, I guess if the snow's not coming into the afternoon, they wrap up their game by 12:30. They get out at 1, but man, that is really, that feels like it's really pushing it, doesn't it? I mean, what is preventing them from playing on Friday night or something? I don't know, but I'm concerned about Ole Miss's ability to get home. There's no way Ole Miss paid Luke Farrelly $2 million. Those numbers have to be inflated. There's a 0% chance he's getting paid over $2 million. Yeah, zero, none. Any offensive tackle prospects? One former Miami offensive lineman expected to visit. Hopefully the weather holds off. And I don't know. There's another message about Quay McBroom. I don't have an update there. I don't know. I'd be lying to you if I said I did. I do know that they need an offensive tackle. They just need one. Even just a body in the room. Even if you believe in Kern and believe in Davis, you still need more offensive linemen. The interior seems solid and healthy, right? Not only do you have 3 returning starters, but you've portaled a backup center and you've got some guys returning that you really like there. But they need just a body in the tackle part of the offensive line room right now. Going to be interesting to see this football team in the fall. More than interesting. My goodness, what a super compelling season Ole Miss is going to have. I mean, and especially when you look at the aforementioned quarterback position, Ole Miss has the advantage at quarterback, the true advantage in all games but one, and that's at Texas. And I know Arch is overrated, whatever. By the end of the season, he was awesome. That game right now, anyway, as we know them, right? I mean, Levitt's fine, and you guys know Kiffin gets a lot out of his quarterbacks for sure, but Trinidad greater than Levitt. Florida's bringing in a Georgia Tech transfer that hasn't played significant snaps. Vanderbilt's without Pavia, right? I mean, Auburn, although there's a chance that he's good, but he's transferring from South Florida to step up in competition. Stockton in the Vaught, good player, tough player. You saw him. But still, Mateer, Oklahoma, obvious. I think that what Mississippi State is going to have is a talented player, but right now you wouldn't pick him over Chambliss at all. I mean, so it's an interesting team. It's Golding's first off-season as a head coach and a real season as a head coach. A lot of returning pieces. Keywan Lacey in that backfield. More than interesting, man. This is going to be great. How we doing? Doing good. Funny question, Mike. Have you seen a Marvel movie? Hootie Tootie? No, I have not seen that Marvel movie. Let Lane take his frustrations out on Dabo, or let Dabo take his frustrations out on Lane this season. He started it. That is where it started. Will there be a bowl game in Greenland next year? They do have I would assume they have a soccer field, so you can play football in a soccer field. How will this buyout stuff affect the transfer portal next year? Super elite players will probably be more reluctant to sign rev share deals until the very end, would be my guess. It's going to be harder to get those players to sign those deals until later, possibly. But when you're talking about just regular players that you can recruit over, it would be smarter for them to lock in money right away. You don't want to play games with money, especially when it's guaranteed money that's being offered to you, right? If you're just a linebacker, right? You're just a linebacker or a defensive back, and your current school is offering you rev share money, guaranteed money. Do you want to play hardball with your school and then have them, oh, wait, there's a defensive back over there from that school that, honestly, we kind of like him better. Let's bring him in instead. If you're a replaceable player, even if the school likes you and like you're good and all that, but if you're not like a super elite player, you want to lock in guaranteed money. So maybe some refuse to sign, but it won't be that many. And look, I mean, as you saw with Ole Miss, I mean, yes, you're going to lose players always in the portal era. The way it's currently set up, you're going to lose players. So just deal with it. But there were a lot of guys that just that are happy where they are. They don't want to leave. Not every player on your roster wants to leave. You've got to pay them, of course. But Will Eccles didn't want to leave. Could have, didn't. Deuce Alexander could have, didn't. Keywan Lacey could have gone to any school in the country, and he didn't. So as long as you've got the right culture and stuff like that, you're not going to have a mass exodus. You're going to lose players. You're going to lose guys that didn't play, that want to go play somewhere else. But you saw it with Ole Miss, that there is a good culture there that, again, you're still going to lose players, but by and large, guys wanted to stay, and they chose to do so. That's what's more important. Got to pay them, too. But guys aren't going to look around if they have no reason to. Very excited about the defense as a whole. Would be disappointed if they're not back to at least a top 10 defense. There is a lot of talent there. Herd meeting was pushed to Friday. Is that accurate? I don't know if the meeting was pushed back until Friday, but obviously, at a minimum, a decision is not going to be made publicly anyway until at a minimum Friday. So I don't know. I know they were supposed to meet on Wednesday. That is all that I know. Love your take on this. NFL Championship Week is here, and with 4 teams left, a trend has been made clear. Have you noticed that no NFL team in the Southeast is ever sustainably good unless they're quarterbacked by guys like Brady or Breeze? Does the popularity of college football in the Southeast in any way harm the NFL teams? No, not at all. The NFL is exclusively a how your team is run league, and that is it. There is no impact that college football has on the NFL teams in the South. The only thing that makes or breaks NFL teams is who's coaching them, who your quarterback is, and who's running your front office. I mean, you saw it with the run with the Saints, right? It wasn't just Breeze. It was Sean Payton. As you can see, Payton is doing the same thing elsewhere. It is all about, it's simply that. I mean, how good were the Falcons, relatively speaking anyway? They should have won a Super Bowl. They didn't. But when they had stability at quarterback in Matt Ryan, no, it's simply, and there's not that many teams in the South anyway. Maybe there are. But like Jacksonville's finally figured it out, right? They're getting a lot better. They have quarterback and coach figured out. No, it's simply there's no correlation there. I'd like to see the Rebel defense be much better at tackling and swarming to the football. You have better tackling linebackers than you did a year ago. That's for sure. Is ready for some ice? Not me. Not me. TV told them they had to play it for views. Probably Kentucky and Ole Miss. Yeah. Was not expecting Clemson fans to go so crazy about the Ferrelli stuff. Thought they were a nicer fan base than that. They were saying some heinous things. Well, this doesn't excuse it, by the way, but as you're learning, the internet and Twitter is getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Every day it gets worse. More vulgar, more personal, more nasty every single day. That's obvious. This is also that they don't dip their toes into these waters very much. Dabo Swinney he's going to go down with the ship of the illusion of integrity, right? Or maybe it's actual integrity. Who knows? Doesn't matter. They haven't lived in this world very much, right? Where you have a player, you think you have a player, last minute he leaves you anyway. The visceral reaction to somebody that has never played in a game for you before is a little interesting. It's like, it'd be different if the guy was a 3-year starter. He's never taken a snap for you. Like, yeah, it's a crappy situation. It sucks. Losing a player last minute sucks. Losing Prince Will last minute sucks for Ole Miss. I think they've done a good job at edge. There's a lot to like about what they have at edge right now. So that's a good thing. Even though they lose Prince Will, they've utilized the portal to mitigate that damage. Plus, they're getting a financial compensation for losing Prince Will. So, it doesn't feel as bad. Clemson's not adding another portal linebacker, and I don't think that they're getting any kind of financial return for losing him. So that makes it a lot more difficult to deal with. If I told you the SEC expands before the 2030 ACC buyout decrease, are you surprised? No, but I don't think it'll be standard expansion. I think Super League is coming. Should they go after the Miami linebacker? I do think they need depth, yes. I do think they need depth. For sure. People are more mean than ever. Seriously, the internet is getting worse. Twitter in particular it's getting worse. There's absolutely no doubt about that, in my opinion, anyway. That's just something that I've noticed. By the way, Ole Miss has made official. He's been working with the team for a while already, but Paul Constantine, the strength and conditioning coach, obviously, Lane took his S&C guy with him, so Pete Golding had to replace him. But as I understand it, Constantine's been with the team for a while. He comes over from the Atlanta Falcons. I don't know much about him, to tell you the truth. People say good things. Pete Golding making a good hire is not surprising at all. So there is that. I think we already talked about the tight end coach coming over from Miami. We did that. And then Todd Cooley, which is one that I think is really cool. The assistant to the head coach and also involved in high school relations. Todd Cooley's the man. He's been on our radio show before. I've had the chance to visit with him in person as well. And, highly successful Division II coach here in the state of Mississippi. And if his main role is going to be, twofold, right? As has been talked about by everybody so far. Another former head coach on your staff. You have a former NFL head coach, a former G5 head coach, and now a former Division II head coach on your staff. That's awesome for Pete Golding, surrounding himself with guys with more experience as a head coach than him. That's awesome. But also the connections that Cooley has in this state and will have in this state. He will be a big asset to the program. So I know people don't know all that much about him, but in his over a decade at Delta State, he is a guy that's going to be very, very helpful for Ole Miss in that role. And one of those staff hires that's going to get overlooked, but I think he's going to be a major asset to the program. Yeah. Lane says, stop the beef. Yeah, it's amazing the public persona versus the private actions, but I think all of us are like that from time to time. We are certainly not perfect. I'm not anywhere close to being a perfect person. I've made plenty of mistakes in my life. I try to act like I'm doing okay, but I am a human being, I guess. And, so I shouldn't pass judgment when I am an imperfect person that does imperfect things and makes mistakes, but it's a tinge hypocritical. It is. If they get Trinidad back, are they a top 10 offense next year? I think so. I mean, look at the pieces they have, especially with that running game too. Can they be a top 12? I mean, I think they can be both of those things. There's a real chance that they've got to get a tackle, though. Gosh, they've got to get a tackle. But there is a chance that this roster overall is better than last year's roster. Remember, last year was supposed to be a rebuilding year. It was supposed to be one, but they just absolutely nailed the backup quarterback of all things, and it ended up working out. But this roster on paper, especially defensively, is better on paper than this past roster on paper defensively. Absolutely, it's better. So, yeah, they have a chance. Funny how it seems all these snowstorms occur during the weekends, never weekdays. Oh, I bet we're still going to have Monday off of school here. Want to bet? I think we're going to. I really do. Anyway. Most underrated transfer, in your opinion? Love Maldonado. There's a chance that we look up and nobody's talked about him when he got picked up at all. I mean, nobody. I get it. There's a lot of guys to add. But there's a chance that we're looking up and that guy's going to start playing meaningful snaps, and you're going to wonder, like, where the hell did he come from? You know, I like him a lot. Blake Purchase, I think, is same position. I'm excited about Blake Purchase. Did Ole Miss pick up any Alabama transfers? Yes, Jordan Renaud, the edge. He was a 4-star out of high school, 3-star transfer, but there is one. Got Walter Nolan 2.0 and Will Eccles. Will Eccles is on pace to be a first-round pick into the teens next year. That's the kind of player he was by the end of the season. We're very lucky with the lack of serious injury this year. Can't count on that luck holding up in 26. More depth in the secondary, more depth in the running back room. Defensive line depth appears to be pretty darn good. Linebacker, I think it would be advisable to add one more if they can anyway, but there's only so much money to go around, so maybe it's not necessarily in the cards, and they'll have to depend on guys that are currently on roster. But there's a lot to like. Just simply put, there's a lot to like. When the Trinidad news drops, if it does this weekend, I'll just record some quick thoughts on that for you guys. Otherwise, we will be back live on Sunday, 9:00 Sunday, after the NFL games end. So I'll see you on Sunday at 9:00. Y'all be safe this weekend. Please be safe this weekend. And I'll talk to you guys on Sunday. See you then.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.